some bourbon.
Hey, we're live as Nick begins to drink. So, hey, folks, thanks for tuning in to the special YouTube-only edition of BAMF Podcast, where we talk about whatever we're watching or reading or listening to this week. This is our Pick of the Week chat, and we have head of Apogee Comics, Nick Garber, joining us today. How you doing, Nick?
Good. How are you?
All right. Next to Nick in our virtual studio is Chris McLaughlin of various RPG fame. How you doing, Chris?
It's Friday. Everythings are great.
All right, cool. Well, you're a public school teacher, so I imagine that's got a extra weight.
Oh well, yes. I mean, it's you. I don't know. Maybe it's because I've spent maybe all but 2 of my lives, only 2 years of my life outside of academia. But yeah, I mean, you never go to your Thrill of Fridays and snow days and all that great stuff.
You're down in Virginia, right? Do you guys get snow days?
I'm in the DC suburbs. Yes.
Okay. Well, cool. And sitting next to Chris is Walt Rebillard. How you doing, Walt?
I am wondering about the lost McLaughlin years. So I'm seriously, there's got to be a comic series in there where Lucha Libre Men's secret origins are all the rage.
If it were a superhero origin story, it would be the period where like I'm wandering around some unspecified East Asian location and I have a beard and I'm like all dirty and you know.
I can tell to teach villagers about political science.
Yes, mining the secrets of the dark secrets of political science that most people dare to learn of.
Cool. Well, hey, Chris, since you're talking right now, you get to keep on talking. What is your pick of the week?
Well, as longtime listeners know, I'm a huge fan of the Alamo Drafthouse, and I am blessed to live with an easy driving range of 1, and soon will be with an easy driving range of 3 of them. And last Saturday night, they organized quite a treat for us. For those of us who love our cult and outre movies, of course, we're familiar with the legendary The Room, Tommy Wiseau's masterpiece ?
All right, you're gonna have to help me out here because I thought I was up on movies, but I've been hearing so much about The Room these last few months with that movie from James DeFranco. What is The Room, and why should I have heard of it before now?
Oh my gosh! Well, they got an entire book and movie out of the making of this film. But basically, this fellow Tommy Wiseau from some unspecified country who has a ton of money for some reason. Is possibly insane, possibly an alien, possibly both. Spent $6 million of his own money, which again we have no idea where it comes from, making this just mind-bendingly terrible movie. I mean, it's the second most insane film I've ever seen in my life that isn't insane because it was made in a foreign country and there are cultural differences. And it's just hysterically terrible. And it caught fire in a Rocky Horror Picture kind of way. There's audience participation things. You yell, you throw stuff at the screen. And it's just I heard this cult was already established before I found out about it, and it actually does live up to the legend. It really is just one of the strangest things you'll ever see in your life. And of course now, like I said, there was a best-selling book co-written by Tommy Wiseau's longtime friend Greg Sestero, and who co-stars and got a producer credit for The Room. What a great thing to have on your resume, huh? And Sestero was a guest at Alamo Drafthouse last Saturday night, and he was talking about his experiences making this film. Had a little documentary about it. And did some live readings from Tommy's original script, which is even more bizarre than the actual film. And then after about an hour of that, we were kind of wondering what is he going to do for the rest of the evening? And Sestero he's a nice fellow. He's really low key, and he just sort of wandered out to the middle of the stage and he said, "So Tommy and I have made a new movie. Anybody want to see it?" And
okay.
Yeah, so he had a work print of the new film that he and Tommy have made together called Best Friends, although it's friends with parentheses around the R, so it could be Best Fiends if you want. And I have no idea what to expect out of this thing, and it's not quite The Room level bizarre. but it's strange because if you've seen The Room as many times as I have, there are parts of it that are like really good. They're like good, and it's just this weird thing. Like, wow, you know, like Tommy Wiseau, he's kind of like Bela Lugosi. You get him in the right role, and the guy actually, you know, can kind of hold your attention. And it's like one half Wiseau madness and second like low budget neo noir, and the ending is something else. I mean, I can't objectively say it's a good film, but it's just in its own little way, kind of like The Room. It's like nothing I've ever seen before. It's not The Room, but it's still got its own little unique piece of cinema history. And I don't know whether this will be Netflix or sold out of the back of a van somewhere or what.
On a scale of 1 to being John Malkovich to Zardoz, where are you putting this?
Well, what number will we assign Zardoz? We're on a 5-point scale, 10-point scale, or
10? Zardoz is 10.
Zardoz is 10.
This 5.
This would be about a 2 or a 3. Like I said, it's like half low budget neo noir and half Tommy Wiseau being Tommy Wiseau. And so it's gonna average out there, but still, you know, just, you know, this is Tommy's second film, so, you know, there's still it still has its own unique little niche. So that was my exciting find of the week.
Okay, wow. So now I'm torn if I should ever seek out and watch this movie, The Room.
Well, you should definitely see The Room. You definitely should, and in fact, if you can find the riff tracks of it, that's definitely the way to get into it.
Anything for my princess.
Oh God.
What are you guys talking about?
It's a line from the movie.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh wait, so Nick, you've seen this movie?
I have seen this movie. It is delightfully horrible, but it's entertaining. It was not meant to be a comedy at all. I've seen The Disaster Artist. I've read The Disaster Artist. I've also seen The Room. I'm a fan of the movie. If I was ever trapped on a desert island and only could take like 3 movies with me, The Room would be one of them.
Shit. Okay. Wow. May have to check that out then.
But just go in there knowing that it's ridiculously stupid and takes itself so seriously that it's funny.
Well, all right. All right. Well, hey, Nick, since you're talking, what's your pick of the week?
Right now, I'm going to talk about Friday the 13th Part 5, which is
Old school.
I just call it Part 5, or the not so Jason. But it did have one of the cooler masks.
A New Beginning.
A New Beginning, thank you. Where they tried to spin it around where, like, now Tommy, which is funny because we were just talking about a guy named Tommy. This Tommy Jarvis is, you know, they're kind of setting him up to be the next Jason. The fan reaction was horrible, and they completely abandoned that idea. So, but I enjoy it. I enjoyed having that. Like I just remember the first time I saw it, and I was just kind of blown away at the end when you find out that it's Roy Burns and not actually Jason. So you're like, oh, that's crazy. So the kills were good. There was gratuitous nudity.
Okay, that was 1985, so that is old school horror.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That was old school horror. So that was my pick of the week while I was inking a cover for War Drums, which is attached to my Kickstarter, which is 114% funded right now.
All right, so what's the name of the book? Is it you're kickstarting right now?
It's called The Crimson Guardians, issue number 1. It was written by Ray Merrick. It was illustrated by myself and colored by DC Alonso.
Okay. So if you were to Google right now Crimson Guardians Kickstarter, it comes up. Whoa, well, that's some nice looking art you got there, Nick.
Thank you. That's one of our favorite images.
15 days to go. You've already, like you said, like 115%. Tell us about this book. What's happening in Crimson Guardians?
Okay, we just finished a Kickstarter called Bengali, and Bengali was one side of this coin, and the Crimson Guardians is that other side of the coin. So eventually this is going to go to a head of some epic battle between good and evil for the fate of all humanity and the universe and all like that. But the short blurb is the Crimson Guardians brings us kind of deeper into the Apogee Comics universe. And it centers around Carrick Byrne, who was a Catholic priest. He had a flock of people. He had his ministry out in Spain. And one day in the middle of Mass, he and his flock were attacked by a mob of masked people. The mob brutally murdered everyone, and then they strung up Carrick from a cross. and then he was close to dying, and then death was face to face with him, getting ready to reap his soul, and then an archangel shows up and goes, "Nope, I got use for him." So the Cardinal's he's been brought back to fight demons and stop the coming of the Void, which is our deep dark big bad Thanos type character. And then as you progress through the series, he'll learn that there's people there's Crimson Guardians out there, people that are their sole purpose is to protect the Cardinal as he does his job. So.
Okay. Have you gotten many Birdman comparisons yet, or Hawkman?
Yes,
okay.
yes, I've had some of those. It's been brought to my attention that I have a thing for birds because most of my characters have a bird theme. So, you have the Cardinal, you have my other character, Phantom Hawk. I got my female superhero dynamic duo, Corvid and Sparrow. So yeah, I got a team called the Aviary. So.
I was going to make a Flock of Justice joke, but you might have already beat me to that.
I like that. I'm going to write that down because we're looking for a new team name. So, Flock of Justice, or maybe a title of one of the books.
Well, boy, I was going to say Murder of Ravens, Congress of Owls, but all that stuff's already been in comics, actually. So, yeah. Well, cool. All right, so listeners, check it out. Nick's a good guy. It's a great-looking comic. So, moving on, Walt, what's your pick for the week?
Cable. Number 3 by James Robinson. With they had a ton of artists on this thing. It's just this is one of those comics that even though it plays around with the whole time travel tropes, the art is just so pretty and so fun. There's just so much to it. I mean, there's yes, there's a lot of play around in here. So basically, for issues 1 and 2, you got Cable running around different locations on Earth during different time periods, and he keeps running into these ancient peoples with incredible technology. And of course, he's got to erase this technology from the timeline at the time that it's in. So he has to take on these people in these really pretty fights. But he keeps encountering allies along the way that are helping him, kind of pointing him in this direction. And this issue, it sort of ties everything together with the Marvel Universe, as far as how the themes interconnect. So you find out that he's chasing. He's basically chasing the Time Sword, which is the MacGuffin of the week, obviously, and more along. Yeah.
That's a cool name.
The MacGuffin of the week. I just thought of it right now.
That and the Time Sword. I was like, ooh.
So the Time Sword was originally created by the. Oh my God! I can't believe I'm going to forget it.
The Beyonder?
No, the Celestials. There we go.
Okay.
And was eventually when it made its way to Earth, was basically split into 5 pieces by the Inhumans of the time. So this guy named Conquest is going around these different time zones trying to locate the pieces at the place they were most likely at that particular time. And Cable stumbles across this with the help of in this issue, basically a penitent who was going to have his sacrifice, and the whole issue takes place in Central America at a Mayan temple. But just the fun story. Issue 1 took place in the Old West. Issue 2 had taken place mostly in Japan, and you finally meet the villain face to face with Cable in issue 3, which now takes place in Central America and Russia. It's a fun read. This one's a little wordy. The other ones were more fighty. This one definitely has a lot of exposition as you kind of get into the plot, but the visuals with this are well worth it.
Cool. And when did this come out?
Oh God, probably about 6 months ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
6 or 7 months ago now. This is issue 3, but after issue 5, which ends this arc, they go back into Cable original numbering. So it goes back into like 150 or something like that. So, but I've been catching all this stuff on Marvel Unlimited, so it's an easy find.
Gotcha. Okay, and I'm just so used to thinking of Cable as like late '80s, 90s kind of X-Men. I forget sometimes. Oh yeah, he's still around. So
Yeah, especially now that because during the whole um, AVX stuff, he had gotten really messed up and then come back and was really down and out for a while because he was healing from injuries and stuff. But at this point in the comics, he's pretty much back to full strength. So it's neat to see him in his element, especially time jumping all over the place.
all right, cool. All right, so that's one to keep an eye out for. And my pick of the week, I'm going to switch from what I told you guys at the beginning. I'm going to go with Black Hammer from, oh God, who is putting that out? I have to look that up. It's a comic I think I might have mentioned before on the, let's see, on the regular podcast. Not that this is irregular, but let's see, it's Jeff Lemire and Dean Orbston, and I want to say it's Dark Horse. And basically, it's sort of a comic. It's a superhero comic about superhero comics. Warren Ellis reviewed it this week in his newsletter. He kind of calls it a superhero in action comic. And I mean, it's a fair description because you've got like every character is an homage or ersatz to a famous character from comics history. There's a girl who's Mary Marvel, and there's various other characters. Okay, that's how you can figure out who they are if you read an issue or so. And the premise of it is back 20 years ago, there was a big apocalyptic battle against somebody who wasn't Darkseid, but really was Darkseid. And they won. But the last minute, there's a huge energy wave, and they all got sent to this really shitty Midwestern farm. And they can't really leave the small town. There's like a force field around it, so they've just been living there for 20 years. And it's, it's all about, reminiscing and regrets and, the dialogue between the people. And does a lot of genre exploration, and there's some funny stuff. I think I was telling Walt there's a spin-off series called Sherlock Frankenstein, where one of the hero's daughters has grown up. It's 20 years later, and she's trying to find out what happened to her dad. So she's talking to all the supervillains at the time, and one of the guys that she meets is Cthulhu, who is this plumber named Lou who was working underneath the city and discovered some eldritch evil. And decided to take residence in his head. So there's a lot of that kind of humor in there, and it's clever, funny, well written, kind of sad at the same time, and it's worth checking out. I think it's kind of under a lot of people's radar, but it's been a lot of fun. So that's what I got this week. So
Nice.
Yeah, worth checking out.
So anybody else going to be checking out Altered Carbon this week on Netflix?
Well, okay, what is this Altered Carbon?
Yeah, I've been seeing it show up on my news feed, and I'm like,
I got to tell you, the best marketing campaign ever. They had there was a tech show in Texas, which if you say really fast, you might fall down a flight of stairs. They were at a legit trade show for new technology, and they had human bodies in these giant, what looked like almost like IV bags. Ooh. And they slit one of them open, the IV bags, to have all this goo fall on the floor and the body fall on the floor. And the technology basically is in the future. You don't have to die. They can download your consciousness onto a chip, and the chip can be right. And the chip can be put into a new sleeve. So basically, a new body, and the body is usually always patterned on your original body. However, the military has patents on putting you in different sleeves for like espionage purposes or combat purposes. And the whole reason you want to be in your own body, something similar to your own body, is there's a possibility of rejection. So if you're in something that you don't recognize, it's really hard for your mind to process. So they try and get close. But the story centers around a military guy who was brought back after 250 years and put into a new sleeve. And a guy, like a big industrialist, hires him to solve his murder. So somebody had murdered the current sleeve, and when he comes back, they manage to recover the chip. When he comes back, he hires this guy to, hey, you need to find out who killed me so that I don't get killed again. But the series is more about the dangers of technology, the haves versus the have-nots. So, like, if you can afford it, you can always have a new sleeve every 50 or 60 years, so you never have to die. Whereas, all of us in the, in down here in the working class, once or twice in a generation, you might be able to afford it. But I mean, most people just have to live normal lives, and how can this technology be used in a better way? So I mean, I've only seen the first episode, and it's kind of, it's world building at this point. But like I said, the marketing campaign was insane. So I was just like, yeah, if they're spending this much cool stuff on like that kind of marketing, I can only imagine what they spent in the movie. And a lot of fun actors too. The guy who was Rick Flag in Suicide Squad, he's one of the main characters. The guy who played the main villain in The Forgotten, the TV show with Kevin Bacon about serial killers, he's in it. Just a lot of fun stuff in here. So I'm dying to check out the series.
What you described sounds like an episode of Black Mirror to me.
Right. Maybe this one
good
won't
stuff.
Bore me to tears like season 4 is.
You did.
Well, there's a lot of gratuitous violence, so you and I should be into it.
Nick, you didn't like the Callister?
That's the only one I've enjoyed out of season 4. Like, because I'm really late to the party on Black Mirror. I've spent like the last month catching up. Enjoyed everything up until after the McAllister. And McAllister was really cool. But everything else, Archangel, snooze.
You didn't like the Black Museum?
I haven't got to that one yet, but I'm seeing a pattern develop here. So I'm gonna muscle through it. This season kind of feels more like a chore. It still kind of engages me intellectually, where I got to think about the dangerous technology, and it hits certain marks, but I don't know. It doesn't feel the same as the previous 3 seasons.
I gotta tell you, the Black Museum is, I think, the closest the Black Mirror's ever done to a Tales from the Crypt episode.
Ooh, okay. Well, then
really,
I will.
No. Night Gallery.
You think Night Gallery? Okay.
Night Gallery.
Actually, the only reason I started watching Black Mirror was because that was their spotlight a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
so.
that was my overall take on season 4 is that if you look at the episodes a certain way, they all sort of call out to the great anthology series of the past, because I thought the one about the dating, hang the DJ, to me seemed like a classic Twilight Zone episode, and Metalhead being in black and white and being a monster show really seemed like an Outer Limits episode.
Right.
And Black Museum with that anthology format really felt like a Night Gallery episode to me.
Okay. Yeah. But all I've seen so far is just Callister and Black Museum.
Was it White Christmas?
If it's season 4, then no.
No, I think it was season 2, season 3. I don't know, but those ones are good.
Black Mirror, White Christmas. Let me see if I have.
I think that's what it's called.
That's the Christmas special. That's happened in between seasons 2 and 3.
I haven't seen that one. No.
That
oh
one is
my god! Jam. Oh my god! Yes.
It's got John Hamm in it. No,
yeah.
I definitely haven't seen this one. Okay, is this on Netflix?
Yes.
Okay,
it brings in some of the technology from the previous episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's so cool.
All right, I'll check that out, because that's one I missed completely. So, all right, cool, good to know. All right, well, anything else you want to talk about, or should we wrap it up?
Oh, I got a lovely. Who knows who Chuck Dixon is here?
Chuck Dixon, yeah.
He took a look at the Kickstarter. Dude owes me $5. He just sent this to me to put on the Kickstarter. He took a look at it and read the script, and he goes, "These guys look like they're having a hell of a time. Shame if you didn't join them, right? The passion for action-packed drama, racked comics is there on every page." So I got a nice little endorsement from master writer Chuck Dixon.
Sweet.
Congratulations.
So
that is awesome.
8-year-old me is doing backflips, and it's probably going to cause a headache. Or
like ice cream too quick?
Yeah, like ice cream too. It's just too much. It's too much. Too much, Jerry.
Nice. All right. Well, on that happy note, let's go ahead and wrap it up. Nick, Chris, well, thanks for joining us. And to our listeners, thanks for listening to us. We'll catch you next time on the BAM Podcast.